9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. I'm Amanda with DevExpress, and today I have with me Carl Franklin and Don Wibier. We are doing a little interstitial with .NET Conf. .NET Conf is running today through the 16th, this Thursday. They just had a session on Blazor, so we brought in these two experts to talk about it. What do you think, guys?
Oh, I love it. I learned a
Same
couple of
here.
things. I don't know about you, Don, but I learned a couple of things.
I've obviously gone into the badass and the release candidates already, but yes, I did see a couple of things that made me
Mm.
quite happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Aspire, they kept that a secret.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
It looks good, though.
It
It's
certainly
sort of
does.
scaffolding for cloud apps.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I obviously have to check it out, but which I didn't, to be honest. But yeah,
Don
it
only
looks
focused on
good.
Blazor.
Hey, now that I see the shot that you guys have put together, should I pull down my green screen so I can play with you guys in the land of make believe? Would that be fun? Let me do that. Hang
Yeah,
on a second.
sure.
You guys
No
talk
sweat.
amongst yourselves.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh,
I can
we're
talk
gonna do some
about
magic.
what's coming up later while Carl's doing a set switch in the middle of our live stream. um, there's a code party later with .NET Conf. We're sponsors. Um, there's lots of like massive prizes, $500 Amazon gift cards, free licenses. So it's at 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Jeff Fritz and friends. You should join that. It's usually really fun. What do you think, Carl?
Yeah.
Have you
That
joined
looks
us?
good. Hang on. Yeah, I can join you. And Thursday I'm doing let me just adjust my thingamajig here. Thursday I'm doing a talk with Jeff on the Blazer puzzle.
Oh yeah, Blazer puzzle. Oh
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna see. I'm gonna see if I can solve it, Carl. I want to get those prizes.
Oh. Well, there's going to be a special .NET 8 puzzle on Thursday.
Oh,
So that should be fun.
we'll check it out. We'll check it out. Well, start shipping those prizes.
Yeah, right.
All right. So what did you see in this session with Dan Roth and Steve Sanderson?
Well, I can say only one thing. I guess it's Blazer all the way, right?
It's Blazer all the way down. Yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
specifically, I mean, I was highly appealed with the fact that we can actually do like complete websites, like not only like apps but websites with server-side rendering, which is obviously great for ranking in search engines and stuff like that. Yeah, that made me kind of happy since I got a bit of a website background anyway. So yeah, bring it on.
Hmm. I also like the new auth Blazor components. I haven't looked at them yet, but Jeremy Lickness has been talking about them for a while, and that's going to allow people to build their own, login screens and all of the UI currently in the Microsoft ASP.NET Identity namespace. The UI is always on the server, so even if you have a
Yeah,
WebAssembly app and you want to log
yeah,
in, you have to go to the server to do that. So they've given us these tools now.
yeah.
That's
That
pretty
is
cool.
something because I have spent quite some time because I really didn't like the fact that they were having this server side screens for logging in and signing up as a new user. And I mean, I can
Yeah.
assure you, it's a bit of work to get that all in Blazor components. So
Hmm.
yeah, that would make things a lot easier for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Jeff is crazily trying to get my green screen better, but there's one light that's not lit. So this is fun. This is fun for me. Hang on one second. Hang
Yeah,
on one second.
sure. We have time. We have plenty of time.
I mean, we have all day. I mean, there's not like a whole conference happening.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's like a nice mosaic. It's like a green and purple and blue combo.
Yeah. No, because we were both busy. We were both busy watching Steve Sanders. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Oh
we were
man,
kind of
Steve
busy, but
Sanderson.
yeah. And I mean, it's a bit of a shame that we have to get rid of Carl's beautiful background.
But
Because I
I
really
like
like.
I'm prepared, man. Okay, not completely
Yeah.
prepared because I didn't realize what the shot was going to be, and Jeff was like madly going in there. But yeah, the background that you saw before was my recording studio, which is my new office.
Yeah,
So
which is it is insanely cool, man. I mean,
very
it
cool.
like Amanda already said before, it actually looks like a virtual background, but it
Right.
isn't. It's the real deal. So, yeah, good job on that. And I've seen the progress on. I think you posted it on Facebook somewhere,
Oh
like
yeah.
how you were building all that stuff. I mean,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it's a bit like .NET 8, right? A lot of
Yeah,
work.
that's right. Progress. I was watching the comments, and somebody said in the comments on the YouTube stream, it's like Blazor just got so much better all of a sudden. And I'm thinking, no, you just weren't paying attention.
Exactly.
It's,
Exactly.
it wasn't just like boom, it happened over several versions, and
Oh yeah.
now it's like fully realized.
I
I don't know,
think that
Jeff. What do you
even
think? Should I just get rid of the green screen? Is it not work? I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, I see that. It's kind of cool,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. You're floating around. This is the Blazor train ghost. Yeah.
All right, so all right, we'll go back to the studio. It's more impressive looking anyway. I'll just see. I could
Yeah.
just pull this thing up.
Oh yeah. We could talk about that as well. Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it is.
All
Yeah.
right. Enough foolishness. We have so much to talk about here because there's so many new things,
Oh yeah.
and I guess we should get right into it, right?
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
All right. So from the very start, we learned that .NET now there's over 6 million developers using .NET.
Oh yeah.
That's
And that
crazy.
is and that is crazy. But I mean, is that like yeah, .NET or .NET Core or everything or .NET Framework?
I imagine it's everything, but
Yeah.
I
But
can't
it's
imagine most of them are probably .NET Core. I believe. I don't know. Actually, that's a very good question. There's a lot of people still using .NET Framework, but
yeah,
over 50,000 contributors to
that is
.NET.
yeah.
Yeah,
That is a
50,000.
big success since they put it on GitHub and have all this open sourced. It's obviously 50K. It's a lot of people working on it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
We are already working, obviously, with .NET 8 tests and so on, but I would be sure that we will, with our newest release, so the 23.2 release, which is coming out not too long from now, it will support .NET 8 features. Yeah,
Cool.
specific. Yeah.
One of the things that I hear, one of the questions that I hear from people about Blazor 8 is what rendering mode to choose. Like, there's so many options, and I think this is where people were saying on the chat that wow, it's gotten complex, right?
Yeah.
But really, it's just a decision tree, right? I say that you should start with as much static server-side rendering as possible. Because you've got stuff like the forms and the smart navigation and all sorts of things that you can do now without requiring a WebSocket or WebAssembly. do as much of that as possible. Now, if you have, this is just my humble opinion, but if you have big pages that are always up, like the spa, right? And there's a lot of interactivity and people aren't going to be navigating away from it all that much. I think auto mode is the best option for that. Meaning you start with Blazor server and then you download the WebAssembly stuff in the background. The thing about auto mode though is that when all that WebAssembly stuff is there, it's not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Don, but it's not like it just switches over and poof, you're using. I think you have to do a navigation or a refresh or something like that. Is that true?
Yeah, you're partially right. Well, what I saw with the demos is that you have so much control on what stays on the page and what not. And I guess that one of the most important aspects to determine what you want to do is, the server-side rendering obviously impacts the server a bit more. But if you're doing a public-facing website that needs to be indexed and stuff like that, like the e-commerce site that was shown on the demo, you want that stuff to be indexed, so you'll need server-side rendering for that. While if you're working on a web app, basically, like you have this older application and you want to migrate to something newer, like web forms or whatever, then you can actually decide whether you want to have it server-side or client-side rendered, or use both techniques in a way.
So the way I think about it is, if you have only have a few pages that use interactivity, like your main page basically just has some navigation things and no interactivity, and then you go to these other little pages, I think, and people don't spend a lot of time on them, I think server render mode is good for those pages, because as you saw, once they're done and you navigate away from them, the circuit goes away. You don't run the risk of getting the yellow screen of death, or whatever they call it now. Yeah, the ghost white partition that says reload. So I like that. And, use server render mode when you have quick pages that are going to come and go. Use as much streaming rendering as possible. And if you have a big page, it's probably a good idea to use auto. Start with server because you get the benefit of loading quickly and being able to use it, and then as things render in the background, as soon as the WebAssembly stuff comes down, is what I meant, download it in the background, then you're good to go. The only question that remains for me is, how do I know when that stuff is available, and maybe I can do an auto refresh or something. I haven't. It's so new. I haven't read the docs about that yet, but that would be my first question I want answered personally.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that I'm interested in, which I didn't actually check out, but I mean, obviously not all browsers run WebAssembly still. I mean, still have some older browsers that don't deal
There's
with
really
it
only
very
one,
well.
isn't there?
Yeah.
Isn't there only like Internet Explorer? And nobody uses that anyway. Friends don't let friends run Internet Explorer. Everything else that I know of uses can handle WebAssembly.
Well, I have this Mosaic browser here. I'm not sure if that runs any.
What is it?
Mosaic?
Oh, Mosaic.
Oh,
geez,
yeah,
that's still out there? That's like from the 90s.
I've got a virtual machine running it. No,
Oh my
I'm
God.
just kidding. But what I was thinking, like if you have this auto mode, so when you go to a page and your browser for some reason doesn't deal very well with WebAssembly or whatsoever,
Right.
I mean, with the server mode, obviously, it just uses a bit of JavaScript to get everything going. But how does that work when your browser does not? If you don't want the browser to do it, or like a particular browser, does the new server or the new Blazor app, can it determine like we need to stick on like the JavaScript, the server mode, or can we do the WebAssembly stuff? I mean, not sure if that's.
I'm not so sure that. Well, first of all, I don't know how important it is to for now in 2023, at the end of 2023,
Yeah.
to be able to support browsers like that. But most of the browsers that people are using, I'm going to say 99%, just because I like to make up statistics, probably use WebAssembly compatible browsers.
Yeah. Yeah, probably you are right. Yeah.
Mm.
So
And enhanced navigation. I almost said enhanced navigation is really
yeah,
really cool.
that looked pretty interesting. Yeah, that was I immediately made a note out of it because that stuff, yeah, that's pretty clever.
Right, you can choose what uh, you can choose what components that you want to persist through that.
Yeah.
And the thing that you have to be careful with the forms, the new form stuff, which by the way you can submit a form without requiring either WebAssembly or a circuit, is that when you get that code that runs on the server as a result of a navigation, there's no state there. You can't have variables. You can't, don't expect, if you're in pure server-side rendering mode, you can't expect that you can have a variable and it'll just be there and you'll be able to change it. It's like rendering for the first time. It loads for the
Yeah.
first time, gives you an opportunity to save the data, and you have an opportunity to get back. Even use server-side streaming rendering, which I just learned from Steve Sanderson today. You can use streaming rendering in that method to, update some UI, save your data, like, loading or saving, save your stuff, and then give the, thank you message or the complete message when you're done. So there's no state unless you use interactivity, but
Yeah,
I'd
yeah, yeah.
still
No,
use it.
that demos that he showed up, like the simple ones. I mean, the e-commerce side. I mean, it's a
Mm.
beautiful thing, and there is a lot in it. But I mean, the simple demos that he showed. I mean, with the smart navigation and also the trick that he pulled with the search box. So you had the search
Yeah.
box, you enter some text in there, and then you go to like another page, and then it
Hmm.
will still stay there. And I mean, he mentioned it as well, but I could only imagine that it is a bit of work to get that behavior going if you were
Mm.
not using Blazor. I mean, that stuff was
Right.
really cool. And
Yeah.
also the supply parameter from form
Hmm.
to get like that's the form back into a model is
Hmm.
also something which is yeah, really smart done. Yeah, I
Yeah, he used
needs to
that
be
in the
tested.
search tool. He used that data permanent attribute on the form.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that was it.
I hadn't
I
seen
mean
that
that
before.
no, that was I mean I immediately knew like oh man, if you need to do this by yourself, that's gonna be
Yeah,
funky.
yeah.
It is yeah, that looks incredibly interesting and certainly to test it out as well.
So I got a
And
question for you.
yeah,
He showed that, first of all, the quick grid is now included by default in .NET 8 Blazor.
yeah,
And it's pretty well known that quick grid is quick and it's not
yeah,
fully featured. And so a
yeah,
lot of people are probably wondering, why should I use the DevExpress grid, for example, when everything that I need to do is there in quick grid. The question is it really? What's missing in quick grid that your grid does
yeah.
better or at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, our grid looks better. I mean, no matter
Mm.
what, I mean, it looks, I mean, the styling and stuff, it looks great. But then we have like the filtering features in the grid. The whole state thing that he was doing. I'm not too familiar with the quick grid, but I mean, I saw him write down some code for to keep track of the state.
Mm.
I saw him do some stuff about getting data page by page and whatever.
Mm.
Yeah, that stuff that works so extremely cool in our grid. And then also editing, whether you want to do inline or pop-up editing, all that stuff is done. In fact, I have been talking about it in the last couple of episodes on how easy that is.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the most powerful features is that we have this possibility to use server-side filtering, grouping, sorting, and page fetching,
Mm.
and that is, and by server side I mean there is actually SQL being generated to do it on the database server.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we've fetched like a million records and we've filtered the memory. No, we'll execute SQL statements directly to the SQL server or whatever database you want to use
Mm-hmm.
to fetch only that stuff from the server that we want. And that is something which is very powerful. And in fact, if I remember correctly, we talked about
We
this
did on
on a
Blazer Train.
certain, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a couple of episodes back. But yeah, so that is, and the same goes for the scaffolding that they introduced. I mean,
Yeah, if I could go
it's,
back to this filtering thing, what I
yeah,
remember from that is you guys have configured classes that can be sent from the client to the server that has all the filtering details in it. And then the
exactly.
server, the API endpoint, executes, gets all that filtering stuff, does the filter, returns back the data that you need. So you're not, filling up the browser with data and then just paging through it on the client. You're getting it as you need it. And
Exactly.
yeah, and the other thing that you were just about to mention, I was going to ask, the scaffolding. You guys have a very mature data scaffolding and data access component that you can use with the grid and just about every other application that you use DevExpress controls in. Tell me about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, this data access technology or this scaffolder, it was developed already quite some years back with the introduction of DevExtreme, our JavaScript library.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we decided when Blazor came up that we were gonna use that same technology basically. So yeah, the funny thing is that if you want to use this from within Visual Studio, you need to install our product, and that includes DevExtreme as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can actually, when you go to the scaffolding feature, so if you want to add a new controller, you will actually be able to add a DevExtreme controller, but that is the one that you will need because it works on the same technology as the DevExtreme data grid as well as the Blazor data grid.
Mm.
And yeah, we have that for years already, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun to see that they're trying to do this as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So the scaffolding has always been okay in Visual Studio, but when I saw what you guys are doing with that Dev Extreme stuff, it was like wow. These guys have got up every morning and said, how can we make this better? It's not just
yeah,
a sort of an afterthought feature. Hey, one thing that I forgot to mention about Blazor
yeah,
and .NET 8, which I'm calling Blazor 8. I don't know. They'll probably
yeah,
they'll probably kill me for that, but all these Blazor 8 components can be used with static server rendering. In other words, you
yeah,
can say, I can create any Blazor component, either that's, Quick Grid or Calendar or anything that's in there, any DevExpress controls, any free controls, any components that you use yourself with just static rendering. So in other words, the interactivity gets turned off. So if you want to you like the way, I think Dan Ross showed a calendar, you like the way that it displays something and you just want to display without interactivity and without introducing WebAssembly or a Blazor server circuit, you can just turn it off. And you can render data with static server-side rendering, and that's it. It's just a
yeah.
really nice looking page.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that looks quite cool. I could imagine that we will need to do something for it to make it work on our controls as well. I mean, but yeah, we're definitely looking into that, and obviously a couple of things were new for us as well on this
Mm.
this introduction. So yeah, if you have good
Get
looking
busy,
controls,
guys.
yeah, we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. I have lots of sites that I am today going to start upgrading to .NET 8.
Yeah, I've got
From
some as
.NET
well.
6, it's a little bit more work, but from .NET 7, doesn't look like it's a whole lot of work.
I did upgrade a couple of projects already to 7 because I saw it coming. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll see how this turns out when we upgrade it to the official .NET 8, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, see what we can do. I mean, I can certainly see the benefits of upgrading, which I will certainly do. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure yet how much problems I will run into.
Yeah, and I have not yet either because it's so early days. I haven't looked into the new auth components that I said Jeremy Lickness has been talking about for a while.
Yeah,
But I'm really excited. Those are going to be topics for Blazor Train in the future. In fact, all of the topics in Blazor Train, I'm going to go revisit from a .NET 8 standpoint, and we'll keep the .NET 7 and before versions of
yeah.
those videos. And we're just like, I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, who doesn't? Huh?
Yeah.
No, I mean certainly it makes sense to address a couple of previous episodes of the Blazer Train and see what's different or what's made more easy, and yeah, it certainly makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also definitely check out a couple of things from our side to see what we run into.
Yeah,
And
I'm interested to see what you guys are working on, and what your plans are for .NET 8. I imagine it's just the usual stuff, upgrade everything to work so we make sure it works with .NET 8 and it's
yeah,
compiled with .NET 8.
yeah, no, yeah, for sure. We have already been on .NET 8 working for some time, but obviously
Mm-hmm.
it's always tricky to work with the release candidates and stuff because yeah, things change last minute, or which could cost us extra work. But yeah, we certainly have .NET 8 on our agenda, which is
Let me
prime.
show
Yeah.
my screen, if you can, Jeff. I've got a Visual Studio. I updated Visual Studio like during the keynote while the keynote was going on, and I update, because like 1 or 2 minutes before the keynote started, they released it, right? And so
Ah,
Visual
I'll
Studio
start it as
installer was
well.
like, "There's a new version." So I took a
So this
version.
should go really well. I'm so excited
Yeah,
to see
Yeah,
this.
I
yeah,
checked it.
yeah.
I checked it out an hour before and it
I
wasn't
hope this
available yet.
isn't
But
like the green screen.
No, 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 no. This is tried and true. So
Tried
just to
and
show
true.
you here, this is my new Visual Studio has been updated, and if you look at
nice.
the the project file, where this before was RC2, right?
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah.
Um, all I had to do was just take out that, and now we're using version 8. And I was using RC2 before, and the same with the client app. Um, it was using RC2, and now I just deleted that, and now we're using 8. Everything
Nice.
works, and we're off to the races. So if you were using the release candidates in preview mode before, that's what
Yeah.
that's what you were dealing with. So yeah, everything works right out of the box. I can't imagine that going from 7 to 8 is going to be that much different. But here I hear something, right? When you create a .NET 8 Blazor web app, you get these two projects here, Blazor App
Yeah.
3 and Blazor App 3.client. And anything that's interactive, I'm not so sure Dan made that clear, but all of the static server-side components run here in your main
Yeah.
app. So this is an app that I've created with auto mode, render auto mode all the way down for everything globally. And so
Okay.
all this stuff runs statically on the server, and then I have one page that is a counter that I've set to render mode interactive. And so all the interactive stuff has to go in this other project, but it's really no big deal because you have using statements and you can just jump around and use whatever you want,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's pretty cool. But check out this form designer. This is one thing that I was telling you about. With the form, I've got this private string message, right?
Yeah.
And when I sign up in the, the whatever the thing is, I got a form here where I can sign up. If I sign up and I put a breakpoint here, Visual Studio is coming to life. This is my green screen moment that Amanda was talking about.
Mm.
All right. Well, anyway, so we'll do it again. We'll just run this form demo, and you
Yeah.
can see, whoops, forms. You can see if I put in my name and my email, whatever that is, and I jump over here, and I put a breakpoint there. Come on, why don't you break? No breakpoint. Lovely. All right, so imagine that I put a breakpoint here,
Yeah.
and I hit sign up, and it goes, "Thank you, Carl," and everything's running.
Yeah.
No problem. The next time I change it, right, you might think that message would be set to "Thank you, Carl" here before I assign it, but it isn't. It's blank because this whole thing, has to render from scratch. So it runs on the server. You can no SignalR, no WebAssembly, but you don't get the state that you think you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something I need to get my head around as well. Yeah. I'm not sure how much
Yeah.
things I will need to change to make that work again.
All right. So not sure why
Yeah.
out of the box I'm not getting that. Maybe I need to delete my bin files and object files. But anyway,
Oh,
you
that
can
could be an issue.
you can close that window if you want, Jeff. I just wanted to show you how easy it
Yeah.
is to just upgrade from, if you've been playing with the release candidates or preview versions, how easy it is to just use the regular version. And all I really had to do was go to Visual Studio Installer and update Visual Studio, and it
Yeah, I'm
installed
running it
all
right
of
now.
.NET 8. Yeah.
I'm updating it as we stream, so
Oh,
I'll be
cool.
ready to play around with it with the official one at least. So
Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait
so
to get started.
oh no, yeah, for sure, for sure. So, but what I thought was also incredibly cool was in that demo, I need to get my head around it because I like that very much. The demo that Steve was showing
Mm-hmm.
with the e-commerce site with the chat box
Yeah.
and all the stuff that was behind the chat box. Like you could actually look for like bags and stuff and say like add the second bag to the shopping list. I mean, this is
Yeah.
obviously incredibly cool.
I didn't get a chance to look at the code, but I
No.
saw some semantic searches, and I saw a vector database in there. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on. If it's using the GPT API, I don't think it is. It's probably using Bing search or whatever, but it's clearly got a vector database with your
Yeah.
data in it, so that
Oh yeah.
you can use semantic search on your data, which is the holy grail for AI, right? I don't want to have a conversation with ChatGPT about the history of English Lit. I I want to be able to search my database with natural language, and I want to be
Yeah.
able to add things to my cart, etc. And you could do that kind of stuff before, but it just wasn't. It was just too hard to set up, and it wasn't flexible enough.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it looked kind of cool. Yeah, so I need to figure out how they've done it.
Yeah, me
To
too.
because yeah, this stuff just makes sense. So
Oh, and by the way, update. I closed out Visual Studio, deleted the bin and object files, ran it again, and I got a breakpoint.
That's where the magic happens, man. The bin
Oh
folder.
yeah,
Hey, if we don't see it, if I don't see it up there,
yeah,
it isn't real.
yep,
Yeah, so Amanda, remember whenever something is not working, just go to the bin folder and trash it.
yep.
Got
So there you
it.
go.
So, hey,
You
did you
see,
see,
I
Carl?
stuff looks amazing. I'm sorry. Go
Did
ahead.
you see? Did you see anything about the? Or have you been working on the Maui, the newer Maui stuff as well, or not really?
I have not. I have not been doing Maui. As you know, Maui is one of those things that anytime there's a change or an update, it's like a scramble to make sure everything gets updated. And with me, it's
Yeah.
the version of Mac OS, the latest Xcode, the latest .NET. And so with Maui, I don't like to play with release candidates. I waited
Yeah.
until today to start messing with Maui and .NET 8. I know there's a lot of cool stuff and obviously huge performance improvements. I'm not all that interested in the VS Code extension because I like my Visual Studio,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people that are going to be very happy about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you just installed it like right before before the kickoff of the .NET Conf, so I could imagine that you didn't check it out too much.
Well, I
I am
didn't check out the
updating
release
only now.
candidates. Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Like specifically with Maui, yeah, it's a bit messy with updates and release candidates and stuff. Yeah, that's
Did you see the stuff with the Visual Studio API endpoint calling and testing, like built right into Visual Studio? I was like, what? Wait, huh? I
yeah.
want to see more about
That
that.
yeah, that was kind of interesting as well. I mean, obviously that you can. I mean, what most of us do probably is like include Swagger in it to test
Right.
certain things, but yeah, this is obviously a step further
Yeah,
to fully test it. Yeah.
it's like Swagger and the client calling thing, like having a little curl testing in there,
Yeah, yeah.
all built in.
Yeah, definitely need to get my head around that as well. That is, yeah, that specifically once we now run Blazor 8, where we don't care about server side or client side rendering, you need to have like a web API, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
to hand out the data, and then it makes sense that you would be able to test it. Yeah,
Yeah. Some things about WebAssembly in .NET 8, 20% faster UI rendering. That's always good.
yeah,
Hot reload has been improved. Thank God. Hot reload is one of those things that sometimes it just doesn't work, but
yeah.
I love it when it does.
Yeah, yeah. I had this issue this afternoon. I mean, for me, it's evening, obviously. So I was trying to debug something, talking about the debugger again, and it was just a Blazor server app. And whenever I was gonna step through the code, it would, thanks to the hot reload, it would like restart the whole application again, and it was like,
Mm.
why? So I
Mm-hmm.
hope this it happens every now and then. I didn't throw away the bin folder, but
Yeah.
yeah. One of those annoying issues is
It's the old delete the bin and object folder trick. Um,
yeah,
they also have some, they call it web friendly packaging as a feature, but um, now there was a problem with certain clients that were using, Norton antivirus or firewalls or things like
mm.
that, where WebAssembly wasn't allowed to download because, hey, it's a DLL, right?
Oh yeah,
And some people have a problem with that. So they basically have this format that brings the WebAssembly DLLs down, not as DLLs, but as some new packaging. And it's not on the tip of my tongue, but I do have that in my training materials. Very cool. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
never
That
had that
is.
issue, but I know customers who have.
I could imagine. Yeah, I didn't face those issues myself as well, but yeah,
Mm.
I could only imagine that certain companies would actually have those policies, which makes sense. Hey, and what about those section outlets? What was that exactly again?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a new component for Blazor. Um, I'm
What are
just
they
gonna
called?
do
Section outlets?
section
Yeah,
outlets,
yeah,
like code dividers, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I saw it like just in a second or so, and it wasn't entirely clear to me. So
All
I'll
right,
have
so
to
here's what
dive
it
into that
says:
one.
renders content provided by section content components with matching section name or section ID arguments. Two or more section outlet components can have the same section name or section ID. So, section content provides content as a render fragment to section outlet with a matching section name. So I guess it's just a way of, instead of saying, if this variable or this enum is this, then show that, and if it's this, then show that.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks like that's what it's for. And they
Okay.
can be used in both layouts and across nested parent-child components. Here, I'll put the
Yeah.
link in the chat.
Yeah, that might be cool for some purposes, which I have to find out, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll certainly do.
Are you interested in C Sharp 12? I know I want to watch that session with
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are obviously some cool
Mads.
things coming up as well, and Mads will obviously tell us all about it. When is that thing going on? I don't have the schedule
C
in my
Sharp
head, but
12 is coming up at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today.
All right, so yeah, 3 p.m.
okay.
And there's also a couple other Blazor ones. There's one tomorrow, I believe at 6:30. Bye ASP.NET Web Form. Welcome Blazor. Transform your ASP.NET Web Form chatbot in no time and beyond.
Okay, so we would definitely want to
Okay.
watch that. Also,
Yeah.
today at 5:15 Eastern Time, 5:15 p.m., there's a .NET Loves AI with Scott Hanselman
Yeah.
and John Maeda. Want to add LLM AI easily to your app? That's what the open source project Semantic Kernel was built for in the wake of the ChatGPT explosion of late 2022. Learn about Semantic Kernel's latest advances for building AI plugins and planners. Okay, so there you go. That's definitely
Yeah.
going to watch that.
Yeah, we've got some stuff to check, yeah, for sure.
And then
And
Don,
yeah,
there's
the
your what's new in .NET Maui's at 3:45
Yep,
Pacific
I'm
Standard
going to
Time,
watch
but
that too.
you're
yeah,
probably
I will
in bed by
probably
then, right?
yeah, I probably won't be able to make that live, but I'll probably rewatch that some other time. Yeah. But definitely the web forms one. I mean, we have been talking about this as well, Amanda, to deal with a web forms application that I want to transform into Blazor. Well, this might still be something
Right.
we could do in the future episodes to see what it takes. But
Yeah,
How
of
many
yeah,
course.
so that might be interesting.
how many ASP.NET web form chatbots are there out there?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a rhetorical question.
Well,
20.
I don't. I don't chat in web forms anymore, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff coming up, but yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
won't be able to make all of them live.
Did you see the thing David Fowler did on native AOT?
No, I missed that one.
There was a demo. Um, yeah, AOT is just getting better and it's going everywhere. So the
Yeah,
whole idea is that .NET has always been interpreted in a CLR at
yeah,
runtime. The IL is interpreted at runtime, and then you have JIT compiling, which compiles just in time. With the AOT, you compile to the native platform that it's going to be running on, and then you have
yeah,
this completely self-contained application. And it got its start really and came to popularity last year, the year before. .NET 6, I think, is where they started with WebAssembly AOT because people wanted better performance and everything. And WebAssembly, if it's not AOT, is not JITted, it's interpreted. So, and it's still very fast, right? But they
For
want,
sure.
some people are doing calculation heavy, or, things that are in a tight loop that take a long time to processing data, that kind of thing, or just processing graphics information, whatever. And those things can really benefit from AOT.
Oh,
So
for
I'm glad
sure.
to see
Yeah.
that it's going everywhere in .NET.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I follow David on his Twitch, and he posts every now and then some interesting stuff about the progression of the AOT features. But yeah, no, that definitely opens new possibilities once that's in
Yeah.
its full potential when it's shipped. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it from Dan Roth and Steve Sanderson about like the Blazor AOT stuff. Did you?
No, I didn't, but they were talking about it before the Blazor demo, before the Blazor keynote.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going to be looking at that. Well, I think we're just about out of time. So thank you guys for letting me come on here and mess with my green screen and waste everybody's time.
Yeah, sure, no
That
problem.
was,
We
I
love
mean, may
wasting
have been the
everybody's
best
time.
part of this whole video. It was
Preparation.
Yeah,
proper preparation prevents problems.
Piss poor performance.
exactly.
Carl, do you wanna plug your multiple podcasts or
Sure. Yeah. Well, I started in 2002 with .NET Rocks,
woohoo?
before the word podcast was even a thing.
Oh.
And it's still going strong. We're up in the 1800s in terms of episodes now, almost 1900 episodes.
Wow.
Blazor Train is free content on Blazor. Don's been on it a couple of times, and that's at blazortrain.com. Over 100 episodes there. And they are all relevant. So there's nothing old that you can't apply to Blazor 8 right now. Nothing. There's only 3 that are Blazor 8 specific, but more of it, a lot of it is stuff that they covered in .NET Conf, but it's just more concise, I think.
Okay.
And I'll be doing a lot more Blazor 8, obviously all Blazor 8 in the future. And then the .NET show, you can look for Maui content in .NET 8. That is just a general .NET podcast, but my focus started on Xamarin Forums, and now it's on Maui. And I think that's it. Oh, I do Security This Week, which is where I ask dumb questions to really smart security experts, and they give me the the answers. We basically
Wait, what?
yeah. So it's Security This Week is a news podcast where we look at all the security related. Exactly, and I'm the king dummy.
Oh,
I'm a
Cool.
proxy for everybody who doesn't
Oh, yeah,
understand
yeah,
security.
I would say out of this trio.
Well, I'm the security dummy.
Okay. I'll let you have it.
Yeah, so I'm basically there to ask the questions that everybody's thinking. What the heck is this? I don't understand this hack. How did they do that? And the guys, Patrick and Dwayne, have been in the business for over 20 years, and they're really good. They're hackers in their own right, so they understand from the evil perspective what's going on. And then I also do a new one called the AI Bot Show.
Oh.
And that started out as a YouTube show where we talked about GPT and, prompt engineering, and we got into integrating with C#. And the stuff is just happening so fast that we decided to make it a podcast, a news podcast. So the AI Bot Show podcast you can get wherever you get your podcasts, or at the AIBotShow.com. And we look at what happened this week in AI and talk about it and provide links.
Awesome.
I think that's it.
How do you fit all that in, Carl?
This is my job. This is what I do. I'm a content maker and software developer.
But Carl, does your day have more than 24 hours or what?
Yes, I have warped the space-time continuum.
Yeah.
So
It was
So
just
I
a
get
little bit of code. That's all it
more
took.
hours. Yes, not as much as I
Also
wanted
that,
to.
yeah.
I still do get the opportunity to play with a band and to do solo gigs and stuff. So I'm well rounded.
Yeah, I could
A
say, yeah.
Renaissance man, as it were.
Yes.
Well, thank you both so much for chit-chatting about the Blazor session we just saw. Obviously, .NET Conf is currently running. It's running through Thursday, November 16th. There is, again, the code party tonight at 5:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Jeff Fritz and friends. And it's always very fun, and we give away so many prizes. There's a secret decoder challenge. There's swag bags. So I highly recommend joining that later.
I'll be there.
Will you be there?
Me too.
I will.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. We're going to wrap this one up, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.